Hey, 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 am I live? Am I live? It looks like I am live. Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're doing well. It's Nigerian XJW Speaks here, otherwise known as Trigger. It's been a minute. I don't know when was the last video I made. August has been a month of going on holidays. So I don't know what it's like where you are. Around here in the UK and actually in most parts of Europe, the months of July, August, it's sort of the holiday season. People take time off, so taking some time off, I need to get better at letting you know before I actually do that. But that's where I've been. I also noticed today the light is not as bright, which is another reason you probably have heard me in a few videos saying my light might go off. So it's my ring light. Well, today it's just finally stopped working and I need to replace it because it kind of puts me off making videos if I already know that the lighting is not going to be what I want it to be, but I didn't want that to stop me again today. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it with the light in the room, because at the end of the day, hopefully it's about the material, it's about the content itself, not necessarily about seeing my face, even though you end up doing that. But that's the disclaimer for all of that out of the way. So bear with the lighting. I hope you can see well. So anyway, how's everyone been? Have you been well? Have you been keeping well? I know that things are crazy in some parts. A lot of my viewers are based in the US, and the news coming out of there. Um, Guys, like just stay safe with everything. There's just so much happening. I'm not now. Generally, I've sort of stayed within the JW type stuff, but there is a lot happening in the world. We've got this stuff that was happening with Afghanistan the last few weeks. You have the hurricane, sort of, is it Hurricane Ida, sort of happening now. So it's just a lot happening. Like, stay safe, yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Let's all get through whatever this is, and we'll come out the other end. Okay, so I wanted to do JW update. I think this is their number 7. I've not seen it, so it's going to be my live reaction here. This one, it seems to be by Gerrit Lösch, one of the governing body members. I don't know, is he the oldest as well? I seem to think so. Let me have a quick look. I think he's the oldest or something. Let's have a look. Uh, I'm doing a live search right here. Gerrit Lösch. He had his life story at some point. Interesting. Is it the one that's German or something? Let's have a quick look together. So his father. Yeah, let's have a quick detour. Why not? Let's have a quick detour right here and look at his life story. So I'm going to stop the screen share I'm doing right now and just show you this bit here because I've got distracted. Let's do it together. So this is his life story bit. Okay, German, Austria, close enough. So his dad was born in Austria. He was involved in what appears to be the Second World War, just based on the date there, and he died in that, which is always sad. He was in the Boy Scouts. Okay, so he wasn't born into it. No, he wasn't born into it. He came of his own accord, which is some of the most interesting stories, I think, when someone has voluntarily joined this group on their own and clearly worked his way up to get to the very top by the sounds of it. So there we go. Gerrit Lösch. I don't know what difference that's going to make in terms of his take on things. He's always an interesting one, is Gareth. He generally comes across as the one that sort of plays it safe in terms of the topics that he speaks about. Generally tries not to get too controversial. I don't know whether that's deliberate or that's just how it falls. But yeah, he's Austrian, and there's Gerrit Lösch for you. So yeah, it's part of the governing body now. So let's see what he says in this update number 7. So I'm thinking, is this 7th one for the year? I don't know how that screen came up for you. I hope you could see what I was looking at. But let's get into his update. So we're going to share the audio as well. Hopefully I will share the right screen. And let's make sure you can see the way I want you to. Okay, excellent. So I haven't played this. Fingers crossed for sound and everything to go well, but let's jump in. It's booting. See, this is why.
Welcome, dear brothers and sisters. I'm so happy to share with you this update. It's been amazing to see the kingdom work move ahead even during this pandemic. Various branches are reporting all-time peaks in the number of publishers, pioneers, meeting attendance, and Bible studies.
Are they?
Many have reported peaks in the memorial attendance. For example, the Philippines branch reported that over 739,000 attended the memorial this year. That's more than 3 times the number of publishers. 100 congregations, mostly in urban areas, reported a memorial attendance of at least 500. That means that 50,000 attended the memorial in just those 100 congregations. In various parts of the earth, many struggle to obtain food. With the assistance of hundreds of...
I'm just going to stop it there. But do you see what I mean? Like, it generally tries to be not as controversial. Okay, I mean, I don't know if those numbers are correct, if there's actually a growth, if he's talking about people dialing in on Zoom or people that physically went there. I don't know. I sort of would like more details on these numbers, but so far nothing extremely concerning. It was funny seeing him trying to be enthusiastic. They just need to stop. There's no need to hype themselves up like that. But so far nothing too crazy. Let's carry on.
Disaster relief committees, we continue to help our brothers. For example, in Venezuela, each month we're providing an average of 130 tons of food to 25,000 brothers in need.
Well, that's nice.
One 90-year-old pioneer sister said, I know that the aid comes from Jehovah, but he uses...
Well, I'm sorry, I just got distracted. What is that ring? Do you know, the number of times I've heard people talk about that ring, I've never really noticed it, but that thing is blinging, isn't it? It's like a bright blue ring. Like this is the sort of things that give conspiracy theorists stuff to talk about. They're not helping themselves. What is that bright blue ring? Like, what is that about? I don't know many wedding bands for men that look like that. That is very strange. That is so distracting, Gerrit Lösch. That is distracting. Goodness. Okay, carry on.
His brothers that I do not even know, and yet they love me and help me. Thank you, dear family. It's heartwarming to see how Jehovah is helping our brothers and sisters in Venezuela and around the globe. We thank all of you for making that possible by means of your donations. In our last governing body update, Brother Hurd mentioned that about 50% of the worldwide Bethel family have been vaccinated so far. Initially, it seemed impossible to obtain vaccines in some countries of the world, but it's been amazing to see that now more than 80% of our worldwide Bethel family, that is more than 19,000 Bethelites, are vaccinated. And we are doing what we can to assist the.
Yeah, okay, yes. I'll really be interested to know what you did as a group to support the vaccinations. And this is a mixed bag, right? On the one hand, it's nice to hear this report, and I know that they would have had to gather some information to know about the vaccination status of the Bethel members. What about the people that are not in Bethel, in places, for example, like the one my family is in, where things are, well, put it simply, is not as easily available. The same sort of nepotism and corruption and being about who you know that characterizes a lot of things found its way into vaccine access as well. Is there anything they're doing to support the members who are not part of the Bethel family for those that want it? I hope that's what I'm going to hear as he goes into how they're assisting. I think that's what he was getting into.
Branch offices that have not been able to obtain vaccines. As you know, by keeping the Bethel family safe, we protect the flow of spiritual food and support spiritual activities worldwide. On behalf of the governing body, thank you, dear brothers and
So there's no
sisters,
detail
for your
then.
tremendous cooperation with all the arrangements during the pandemic.
Okay, no
There have been
details.
many adjustments in a short time, but you have done so well. We truly love you for your fine spirit in working shoulder to
Don't do
shoulder
that.
with us. While we all have had changes in our routine, some of our circuit overseers who serve in foreign lands have had major changes. They had to return to their home countries during the pandemic. Even so, some continue to serve the congregations in their circuits via Zoom, despite being in a different country and in a different time zone.
Right.
Let's hear from one.
A few months into the pandemic, my father's health was failing. So we made the decision to return to the States and assist my mother. Although in the beginning we didn't think we would be here so long, it turned out that the surge in the pandemic prevented us from going back to our assignment in the circuit in Bolivia. Well, being displaced, we just weren't sure if we were going to be able to serve and complete our assignment effectively.
We felt that we needed to make the necessary adjustments to have the right attitude.
Right, I'm going to pause it. One for copyright. I don't know what that does. So this is, I think someone touched on this set of people. I don't know if it was 2 broadcasts ago or something like that. And I was curious as to, again, the people that were quote unquote displaced, stranded, whatever you want to call it. I hope there was some sort of support for them as well. So I'll be interested. Maybe this couple can explain something, because time and time again we see that the only organization that is being looked out for is Watchtower. Not so much the people. It's sort of a recurring theme. So I'm really hoping Gerrit Lösch, I think the one who says the least controversial stuff. Maybe this is where we find out where they're actually doing something good. I mean, we heard about all of that food that was being distributed. I mean, granted, that is to their members only, which is neither here nor there, but at least it's something. And knowing what they're like, where if someone decided that they didn't believe anymore, the treatment that they'll get will be completely different. That love that he kept doing the hand sign for, which is neither here nor there, that will disappear very quickly. So there's that. I mean, talking about Afghanistan that we spoke about at the start, just in the last few weeks, few days, as you know, refugees, for want of a better term, people that have escaped from there, have come here, quote unquote worldly people have been rallying around to give them supplies with no expectation whatsoever, with no conditions attached to it. They're rallying clothes and food without no need to evoke any Jehovah's hand, any sort of weird cultish thing. So for me, that's even more of doing good, because those are people like that you may not necessarily meet afterwards. There's no strings attached to it. They don't need to believe the same as you. It's simply doing good for the sake of it. Giving food to people that are in your very exclusive religious group is nothing special. It's nothing to bang on about. I mean, it's nice, but it's nothing special. So let's hope the people that really sort of pour themselves into you, who give of themselves in every single way, that there's something that's been done to support them in this quote unquote difficult time. But the direction she was going, she was going to say something about the right mindset and attitude, which there is something to be said for trying to keep a positive attitude. But for me, with this group, it's always like, to what end? It's always with an agenda. It's not a positive attitude to help you get through it. It's how it's going to benefit this group and the men in charge. And it's always twisted, but let's see. I wasn't expecting to talk so much at that point, but there we go. As it flows, it flows.
So fervent prayer really helped us to get the right mindset, and being able to see how Jehovah answered those prayers is very faith strengthening.
Jehovah's blessing this arrangement.
What
it's
arrangement
the arrangement
is
that's
it?
been put in place, and it's what we're using. We're making the best of it, but we're having success because Jehovah's behind it. We've had brothers who are now qualified to be publishers, unbaptized publishers. There's brothers who've dedicated their lives and gotten baptized during this pandemic. One brother in particular has so much enthusiasm for phone witnessing that last month he was able to report over 100 return visits, and he was able to show over 200 videos, different ones.
One Bible student loves her study so much, and also attending meetings, that she's willing to walk 1 hour each way in order to have a good signal on her phone so she can tie into her study and also to the meetings.
Throughout this past year, I've learned that Jehovah has never left us. He's been in total control of every situation.
Has he though?
He's been able to direct.
No, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. Was it not in the last JW broadcasting? Well, not the broadcasting, these updates here, that we heard about thousands of witnesses who died. If that's what you call being in total control, then I'd like to see when he isn't. No, you cannot say that. You cannot say he's been in total control of the whole situation, where the priority is to help someone walk an hour back and forth to dial into some group of people talking, but thousands of people dying, that's okay. No, you cannot say that. You just can't.
His organization, his people, exactly in the place that we need to be. This has all been proof that Jehovah will never abandon us.
Really? Tell that to the people that have died.
How encouraging to hear how our brothers are remaining united and spiritually active.
Oh, that's riled me up.
But we do have to continue to guard our unity.
Really?
What
that's
is
the
unity?
Important thing?
It's been defined as oneness, a condition of harmony. Note how the Apostle Paul describes our role in maintaining unity at Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3. There we read,
I feel like you're
earnestly
missing the
endeavoring
point.
to maintain the oneness of the Spirit in the uniting bond of peace.
Oh, gosh.
Note that it takes effort to maintain our unity. Paul said that we must earnestly endeavor or work hard at it. What could pose a danger to our unity? What if we became too emotionally involved in issues that are divisive? The Bible foretold at 2 Timothy chapter 3 that men would be lovers of themselves, not open to any agreement, and fierce. We see this in the world today. People are not open to any agreement. They quickly become fierce, taking strong positions on all types of issues. As Christians, we are...
I wish you'd take that advice and butt out of people's decisions when it comes to blood transfusions. Now, that would be something that you should butt out of, because first of all, it's none of your business. It's not your place to say. And even more importantly, it's a matter of life and death. So you 8 men, wherever you live, have no business in there. Now, while I do agree with the observation that, you know, in a lot of public discourse, the stuff that you hear about the loudest, which is unfortunate, because I like to think that the majority of people can find a middle ground, but the voices that are the loudest, the voices that are put out there, are the ones that are the most extreme. So it looks like people can't agree. Now, while I think, you know, that's not necessarily helpful, I don't know that they're the people that that are in a position to talk about that, because they are the ultimate us versus them. They are the champions of that. They are the we are no part of the world people. They are the people that believe that anyone who is not in their group is just sitting duck, waiting to die. So I don't think you're in a position to talk about that. But of course, I know you're not referring to everybody else, because who cares about those people? You're only talking about your in group, right? That's what matters. And to keep the oneness. And, you know, the hypocrisy is just, you can't see it. They can't see it.
No part of the world. We stay out of those
You
debates.
just said what I just said.
For example, who would have thought that wearing a mask to prevent the spread of disease could become an issue?
Yes, Gerrit,
From
Lösch,
the
we
time
can
when
all
we
agree
were
on
little
that.
children, our parents taught us to cover our mouth when we coughed or sneezed. In his precious word, Jehovah outlined many practical measures that would prevent the spread of disease.
So he's talking about stuff
so how could wearing a mask become controversial for some?
Low-hanging fruit.
Where is that thinking coming from? We have to be careful. All of us are exposed to worldly thinking on television, on the internet, at work, or at school. There are many websites that promote conspiracy theories. If we are not careful, we could become emotional.
I'm sorry. A cult is warning against conspiracy theories. Woo! I'm in the Twilight Zone. I'm in the Twilight Zone. You know what? A broken clock is right twice a day. That's all I'm gonna say. Wow. Gosh. If only he could just flip it and point the mirror this way. A cult leader is saying avoid conspiracy theories. Have you looked at your teachings, mate? Have you looked at have, have you looked at your doctrine and your theology and this stuff that you teach? Wow. Wow. Whew. I have nothing to say.
Involved in these debates. We could allow ourselves to be guided by the voice of strangers instead of listening to Jehovah's channel, the faithful and discreet slave.
Of course, yes.
As we face the end of this system of things, this will become more and more essential to our safety and spirituality. That's why we appreciate you, dear brothers and sisters, so much. As soon as you discern that Jehovah's Spirit is directing the governing body to go in a certain way, you are quick to follow. And as a result, we enjoy precious unity.
Not inspired, spirit directed.
This reminds me of the Bible example of Naaman. Through a messenger, the prophet Elisha told Naaman he'd be healed from his leprosy if he bathed 7 times in the Jordan River. How did Naaman react? Let's read together 2 Kings 5, 11 and 12. At this, Naaman became indignant and started to leave, saying, "Here I said to myself, he will come out to me and stand here and call on the name of Jehovah his God, moving his hand back and forth over the leprosy to cure it. Are not the Abana and the Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Can I not wash in them and become clean?" With that he turned and went away in a rage. Naaman had his own idea about how he was going to be cured. He felt strongly about it. But Jehovah had a different idea. To be cured, Naaman would have to humble.
Okay, I'm sorry, but Jehovah hasn't actually said anything about the current pandemic, though. He hasn't actually said anything. And when it comes to you guys who claim to be spirit directed, don't say they're inspired. No, they're spirit directed, because semantics, we're playing word games here. But your position at the start was, I think it was Tony Morris who was like, "Oh, it's gonna be gone soon. It's not a big deal." And then, oops, it's a big deal. And there's actually not been anything that you guys have brought to the table. All you've done is parroted what the secular bodies have said, which, fair enough, at least at this point, you are following the science. You are encouraging your members to do the right things, but it's not really from you. You're simply repeating what has been said. So I'm sorry, but Jehovah, if he exists, hasn't actually said anything about this. All well and good trying to slot in this Naaman story. I can see why you've done that, but Jehovah actually hasn't said anything about this. So just saying.
Himself and followed direction from Jehovah's channel. Naaman was struggling, but his servants got the point. What did they tell him to do? And what was the result? Let's read in verses 13 and 14. His servants now approached him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something extraordinary, would you not do it? How much more then, since he only said to you, 'Wash and be clean'?" At that he went down and plunged into the Jordan 7 times, according to the word of the man of the true God. Then his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little boy,
crazy how I
and he
remember
became
these pictures.
clean.
Gosh.
Do we get the point? Like Naaman,
I don't know,
we
Gerrit,
might
Lösch.
struggle
Jehovah
a bit at
hasn't
times,
actually said
especially
anything.
if we have our own strong viewpoint. But one thing is certain. If we follow direction coming from Jehovah's channel, we will be blessed and, more important, will remain united. Of course, the devil is not happy to see this cooperation, this beautiful unity that we enjoy. So we have to be on guard so as to maintain it. This reminds me of an event in my life many years ago when this lesson was impressed on my mind.
Was it?
At that time, some of the brothers did become divided, and it led to so many problems. You may remember that we had a video about those events.
Not 1975.
Let's watch a clip from that video.
Wait.
A lot of pressure was on the brothers in Romania. The Communist Party, they tried to sow distrust among the brothers, meeting with them separately.
Oh my gosh, he's lost weight, hasn't
some
he?
brothers one thing, telling other brothers something else.
Good for you, Gerrit.
Sometimes it has happened that an official posed as an interested person and was clever enough to disguise that and pretend to make progress in the truth, not only to the point of getting baptized, but even to the point of becoming an elder. But he was in reality an agent of the secret police.
Oh, you should have known. He hasn't got a tie. He hasn't got a tie, guys. Come on. Dead giveaway. He hasn't got this suit and tie. Come on, guys. You fell for that one.
With the aim to find out everything about the organization.
Oh,
so it did lead in one case that brothers started to distrust someone that was actually appointed by headquarters. And these brothers then separated from the organization that Jehovah used. And some of them were separated for not just a few years, but for decades. And there were a large number, up to 5,000 publishers. They continued to meet together. They were preaching and using material that they had left over from earlier years, but they hardly got any new material to study because they were not in touch with the organization that was used by headquarters. Attempts to bring the brothers back into the organization were made from time to time. But it seemed that the brothers from the separated organization did not have sufficient trust. But when we presented to the leader of the separated group that one from the governing body would come, he was happy about that, and he had enough trust in that case to agree that we should have a meeting and seriously talk about reunification. And so from the separated group, there were Brother Albu, who was the leader, and 4 of his main elders. And from our side, there was Brother Gerrit, our translator, and I was part of that group.
Were you?
Also, there were several from the country committee of Romania. I remember the first night, there was a lot of accusations about what the others had done and not done.
This is not interesting at all. But I've read about this before. I've heard about this before, and the people who were separated for quite a long time. But for me, what was interesting, how he kept referring to who were appointed by the headquarters. You know, why did he not say appointed by Jehovah? I don't know. That's just interesting to me. Headquarters. So I think at some point it'd be good to know who is headquarters. But on the whole, I don't find this story particularly interesting.
Did not create the best spirit, and we mainly listened. But everybody agreed to meet another night. And the second night, obviously, Jehovah wanted the brothers to unite again.
Did he?
And the whole spirit was different, and the brothers talked the matters over and clarified some misunderstandings. And at the end of the second evening, I remember the leader of the separated group, Brother Albu, said, "Let's do it, because if we don't do it now, we may never have another opportunity again."
He's getting emotional about that.
The decision was made. So it doesn't happen every day.
He's really emotional about it.
Come back to the organization.
Wow, Gerrit Lösch.
From then on, all the practical things were put in place to accomplish this reunification. They were asked to merge with our congregations. And that also took a lot of humility on their part, but they were willing to do it. So they were really brothers in their heart.
Cue the emotional
and
music.
The truth. And so the reunification was accomplished. And it was
if
a
this
wonderful
wasn't
victory
live, I would skip
for
past
Jehovah
this.
and against Satan. Reflecting on the experience with the brothers in Romania, we can see there could always be misunderstandings among humans, and there could always be even legitimate complaints about misconduct of some responsible brothers.
No, you are not going to slide that. No, you're not going to slide that in there. Legitimate concerns of misconduct or legitimate you're not going to slide that in there. That is not the same thing. There's nothing in that story that's been misconduct, so you're not going to slide that in there. If you're going to slide that in there but still claiming that it's something Jehovah is controlling, you are going to have a dilemma on your hands. So no, you're not going to slide that in there. If there is misconduct, then you're going to have to answer for why did Jehovah let it be covered up. And what about the free will and the happiness of the people that are on the receiving end of this misconduct? I'm trying to avoid using the exact words, but if you've been listening to this for a while, you know what I mean. This organization and children, you are not going to slide in misconduct in there, packed in with some people going their separate ways. Like, no, you're not going to slide that in there. So I'm just going to call you up on that one, Gareth.
But the important thing is never to lose trust that this is Jehovah's organization.
Why? Proof.
That's where Jehovah's blessing is.
Prove it.
Jehovah sees it all. Jehovah
and does nothing.
Uses his Holy Spirit to keep the organization together.
No, it doesn't,
and
though.
What he wants to have accomplished will happen. And if we work with the Holy Spirit, then Jehovah will bless our efforts and it will be successful to his praise.
You can't just say things with zero proof.
Of course, these challenges were not unique to the brothers in Romania. Similar challenges occurred in other countries that were behind the Iron Curtain, including Czechoslovakia, Russia, and Ukraine. So, what have we learned in this update?
That you say a lot of things without proof? No way. I'm going to say what I've learned. First of all, I've learned that, you reel out numbers that, may or may not be true, that you provide food to your members, which is nothing special, but that's nice. I learned that, let me see, what was the other thing I learned? That you absolutely, well, at least not that you've said, done anything tangible to support people who are not part of the Bethel family, so i.e. the rest of your members, through this pandemic. You haven't said anything that you've done to help them with the vaccination numbers, especially in countries where it's harder to get them. I learned that you have either very selective memory or very short-term memory, where you can sit there and say Jehovah has total control of what has been happening the last 18 months. But just the month before, you were talking about these thousands of people that have died. So it's either you have very selective or short memories, or you don't actually really care that much. The other thing I learned as well is that you really care about unity only when it comes to people within your group. For the rest of the world, you're just out there saying you are no part of it. And so who really cares what happens? And the constant trying to slide things in there, the word games, spirit directed, not inspired, trying to slide in something about genuine misconduct in a story about adults choosing to go separate ways, that's not going to cut it. So in summary, what I learned is that you're still the same dishonest, very, very self-unaware group that you always were. And every single day, I'm so glad I'm out of this. That is what I learned. Even you who I mean Gerrit Lösch, who tries to be as uncontroversial in the topics that you choose, even that is problematic. You know, you're getting emotional about group of adults who went their separate ways coming back together, which is nice. I have not seen this sort of emotion from any of you talking about this stuff that happens to children, talking about this stuff that happens. I've heard zero sort of emotion. So you can just keep it. But let's hear from you what we're supposed to have learned.
On the move.
Is it?
Even during this pandemic, we see strong evidence that Jehovah's Spirit is
There's
blessing
no evidence, though,
and moving ahead the preaching and disciple-making work. Despite many challenges, you, dear brothers and sisters, are working hard to maintain our precious unity. As a result, we are enjoying a spiritual paradise
as
we work unitedly together.
It doesn't matter how many times
Satan
you
will
do that.
continue to
It's
try
not
to
going to
stir up
make it any
division,
less true.
even among Jehovah's people. What can we do to successfully resist his efforts? Listen to the channel that Jehovah is using, the faithful and discreet slave.
You say it would be presumptuous
Don't
to
allow
say you're the only
yourself to
channel.
become emotionally involved with the causes of this world, whatever they may be.
Wow.
There's no doubt that Jehovah will richly bless all those who support our King, Jesus Christ,
matters then.
and the channel that he's using today, the faithful and discreet slave.
Proof?
From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
I'm sorry. These people are, I don't know. This is so hard to take. This is so hard to take. I was hoping not to go over 40 minutes, but I'm on 42 minutes. Gosh. I'm trying to put my thoughts together. You know, like the image I have in my mind is like when someone's got the blinders on and they can't see anything else and it's just tunnel vision. But this is like for the wrong thing. This is for something that is harmful to some of the people. This is for something that is harmful to the members. And it's just the total lack of awareness. Or do they know? I mean, this is a question that comes up a lot. Do we think the members of the governing body actually know what they're doing? Or are they voting as well? And do you know, I'm not actually sure. I don't actually know. You know, Gerrit Lösch in particular, for all intents and purposes, seems to actually believe what's happening. Maybe I'm just getting sucked in, but they're getting teary-eyed about adults coming back together. The complete lack of self-awareness in a cult leader telling people not to get caught up in conspiracy theories. But, you know, all of that will be comical as a stand aside if you didn't know the damage that they cause, if you didn't know what are the real world consequences of their teachings, of their doctrines. That's when it stops being funny. That's when it stops being comical. And yeah. So that was the update number 7 for the year. I'm sure there'll be another one due soon, and I will try and cover it. But very unaware. Like, yeah, and dangerous at the same time. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought about it. If you've stayed through to this end, thank you so much. And I know these go on for quite a while because I have all these thoughts and it's live and I can't skip things forward. I can't. Well, I could, but then it'll be messy. So you're getting it raw. Let me know if you like this format. They're easier to make than the other types that need to be edited and all of that stuff. So let me know if you like this type. Completely blows my mind every time how they just put this stuff out there and just I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but let me know what you thought about it. Is there something that I missed that I didn't talk about? Let me know. But I'll leave it there. Subscribe if you like to see more of this, and then give the video a like if you like it, and share it with whoever you think needs to hear the words being critiqued and being looked at from a different perspective. All right, I'll leave it there. Have a great rest of the week. Speak to you soon. Bye.